How's it going, guys? Thanks for checking out this video. Basically, it entails me opening up my new inverter multi-purpose machine. This particular brand is a Colossal Tech 200P, and it's a 200 amp Tig AC/DC Tig and stick, also with a 50 amp plasma cutter. Here you see the instruction manual. I was pretty impressed with this instruction manual. A lot of Chinese stuff you buy, it's got pretty worthless instructions. This particular welder, at least from the purchaser I got it from on eBay, gives it a 1-year warranty, which is pretty cool. But again, I'm just flipping through the pages here. You can see it's quite a lengthy manual, and I was quite impressed. After reading through it, it's pretty good. It's kind of Chinglish. Somebody not fluent in American English or English must have wrote it, but nonetheless it's understandable. Packaging was pretty good. It was professionally packaged styrofoam, pretty thick styrofoam to prevent the welders being smashed on delivery. Even if they're thrown around, they're pretty well protected in this packaging. So here I pull out the foot pedal, and it's Chinese to be expected quality there. Nothing super special. The fulcrum there is just, I think, some all thread with 2 nuts on each end cinched together. And this is me rocking it back and forth. About halfway down it switches, and it's not a smooth rock either. It may take some either modification or just build a different foot pedal if I get tired of using this one. It'll work for now though. The switch didn't kick on until about halfway down. I don't know if that's typical. I would think the switch would want to come on right away. I think that's the switch for the high frequency and gas, so I might need to mess with that switch a bit to get it to come on sooner. And here's just the connectors, and the male connectors which go into the machine. There's a 2-plug and a 3-plug. And they're similar to like Amphenol type connectors. One of them right there I'm showing you, the little tiny clamp screw, was missing. You just kind of expect this sort of thing with Chinese. That's what you get when you're getting that much for that little price. You have to expect some of this stuff, and you have to expect the quality to not be up there with the top shelf brands. But here's me tightening that first screw just so I don't lose that one. And here in a second you'll see I look in the bottom of the foot pedal box and I actually find that second screw. There I go looking for it. I find it, so that's good. So the one missing part I am able to salvage, put back on it. I paid about $830, buy it now on eBay, for this machine. And that included shipping. Free shipping. It only took, I think it shipped out of California. It took under a week from when I ordered it to its arrival which is pretty sweet. You can see my diesel motorcycle there in the background. Check out my other vids. It's an XR500 with a single cylinder air-cooled diesel in it. I've got other videos on that build that I'm still editing, and you can check that out as well. Here I'm opening up the Torch. I was pretty impressed with the Tig Torch. It's pretty decent. I believe it's a W26 style torch. There's the gas nozzle. It was kind of weird how they clamped that hose onto the gas valve there. I try to give you a close-up. It's almost like fishing line or something that they wrapped real tight around there. Anyways, it's kind of interesting what you see from equipment that's built in second world countries. They figure out ways to do it low cost but functional. Not to say that all that jimmy rigging is bad necessarily. It's just not, you know, impressive. It's not, doesn't look like it's production pieces. It looks like a low wage worker threw all this together over and over again, which is what it is. Yep, WP26 style torch. And with most of these Chinese Tig torches, they just zip tie a little thumb switch on the back, which, I mean, it's functional again. But like I was saying, when cost is one of the main drivers in this type of equipment, they find ways, the companies or engineers or product developers find ways of making something functional at the price point, the lowest price point they can. Which, like I said, if it's functional, and there's a market that demands that equipment, then great. So I'm just disassembling the torch head here. Came with 2 collets, 3 different cup sizes. Not a bad torch. I'll be able to use that. Number 5 nozzle or cup, number 4. I think it had 4.5 on it. It's pretty amazing what you can purchase for, like I said, $850. There's your electrode collets. 3 different sizes. I forget exactly what sizes are. But yeah, it's really amazing what you can buy for under $850. And as soon as I had the money saved up, I just had to buy me one of these. I wanted a really versatile machine, one of the multi-purpose machines. AC/DC TIG arc stick. There you see it came with a fairly decent water separator regulator. The body piece there is actually some sort of metal. I don't know if it's zinc or pot metal or something, but not bad quality. I've seen a lot worse from China, so it's not a bad one. I might hook it up, use it on this. So yeah, I guess I was saying that I wanted one of these multifunctional machines just because they're so versatile. And being that they're inverter based, they pack a punch for a small light package. There's a bracket that goes with the air separator, but they're, I mean, you can get some really awesome current rating. You know, this is 200 amp Tig and stick. That's quite a bit of heat. You can do some serious welding with that, and yet it's in a small package. This welder weighs 24 pounds is all, and you'll see when I lift it out of here, it's not too heavy. So this is something you can carry around with you, and you've got AC, DC welding functionality. You know, if you're out in the elements, you can do stick. If you want to do some real specific quality welding, you can do your TIG either on, you know, steels or aluminums. Plus you got the plasma cutter, which 50 amps, that's, you know, that can sever half-inch plate. So I wanted to get one of these machines just because it's something that you can carry around, take to job sites, keep in your truck, and it's just very functional for the size and weight. So here I pull out the plasma torch. Now I've got there the air thing. It's just a crimp-on fitting. It looks like something off of you'd use on your sink. If it leaks slightly, I mean, it'll still work. But I was surprised. 50 amp plasma torches are quite a bit smaller. I've got it's a Lotus brand, a Chinese brand plasma cutter. It's an 80 amp, and it's the torch is substantially larger. So it'll actually be nice to have a smaller 50 amp plasma cutter with a smaller torch head if I need to do, you know, detailed work or need to get into tighter spaces. My Lotus plasma cutter 80 amp is IGBT switching in it versus this machine is MOSFET. I don't know a whole lot of the differences. I know IGBT is newer technology and is usually advertised as better, but I think MOSFETs are pretty reliable as well. I think the only difference is they use different technology for the inverter switching. IGBTs might switch faster or something. I'm not an expert on that, but you can do some research between the two if you're looking at buying one of these machines. I think MOSFETs are reliable, though. You can't really go wrong either way. So here I'm just pulling it all apart. You saw a minute ago the copper that holds the consumable there was kind of corroded. I don't know if that was due to some of their manufacturing process. When they clean it off or something and put that O-ring on there, it left some liquid or something, but there was some green corrosion on there, inside of there. Again, things to expect when you're buying Chinese products. And you know, when it makes sense, there's some of the ceramic cups, and a few consumables, some hose clamps, and what I think is a different style cup. You'll see I'll pull out in a minute. It's actually a real small spool of Teflon tape for your air fittings. I try to buy American products when it makes sense. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense, or sometimes you know they don't sell these products. Like, to my knowledge, Miller, Lincoln, Hobart, they do not sell a multi-purpose AC/DC, Tig, arc, plasma machine. They just don't do it for whatever reason. They don't either feel they can compete in the market because they'd have to charge so much, or they think it'd take away sales from their individual, machines. I don't know exactly why they don't, but so this is a sector where you can't really get those high quality products. And even if you could, maybe their Thermal Dynamics or some other smaller American company makes something similar to this, but I mean, the price point, this machine, $830 shipped. I mean, if you wanted an American version of this, it would be, $2,500, maybe $3,000. And for the small business or the hobbyist, it's real hard to justify that. There's a ground clamp. I was really impressed with this ground clamp. I've seen just terrible ground clamps, and this is actually decent. It's stamped. So it's pretty rigid. I think it'll work just fine. There's some vinyl tubing, which runs up to your regulator. Now, I'm sure all of you know how fun it is to try to get something out of a tight box by yourself. You need 2 extra hands. Pulled it out of there. There I kind of lift it out to let you see it's pretty light. And there's the front of the machine there. You see it's got 9 knobs on the front, on-off switch, and several other switches to select your different functions. Fit and finish on this is really good. I was impressed. Again, I'm used to seeing just awful fit and finish quality on Chinese stuff, but this is at the upper end. There's a zoom in on all your knobs there, on off switch, and a little LED display. So pre-flow, peak current, base current, down slope, post flow, clean up, pilot duty, pulse. I think that's right. There's for your pulse function on off, and your toggle for stick, TIG, or plasma. 2T, 4T. I just learned about this. I've never had a machine that had that function, but I guess if you're using the foot pedal to control the current, you want it on 2T. If you just want to go off of what your knobs are set at, your machine settings, you'll do 4T, and then it's just a switch on, switch off on your Tig Torch, and then it will go to the settings on your machine. It'll run until you toggle it on off again. So for 2T, it would be like the switch in your foot pedal. So when you're pressing down, it'll switch on, and then the machine will start, and when you let off, it'll stop. I believe that's the main difference. There's an AC/DC switch over there on the right, and then an on-off switch on the left. Negative, dense style receptacle. There's your switch, and what else was that? I missed that, sorry. And then your positive, dense style receptacle. Sticker saying, you know, air hose it out every now and again to blow out any dust. That's a way to cause premature failure in these things. Metal dust builds up, and it can arc across components, or it just builds up and builds up more heat. Dual fans, pretty sweet. Decent size line voltage in. I shouldn't say decent size, I should say adequate. It looked like maybe 12 or 14 gauge in. And this machine, the rated input current is 28 amps. So make sure your breaker on your panels sized enough for that. Gas in, there's another ground if you wish to ground it in a fixed place, or ground your cart maybe. There's a little screen inside of the gas in. And that gas in is for the argon and for the air for the plasma cutter. So I think what I plan on doing is getting like a three-way valve, so I don't have to keep connecting one or the other. You know, I can just flip the valve to which way I'm running. So, like I said, I'll run through the specs real quick. Again, range of output current 10 to 200 amps TIG, 15 to 50 amps for plasma, and it's also 10 to 200 amps for stick welding as well. It's got AC and DC. There I'm just putting all the dense connectors of each different stinger and torches, make sure they all fit good, and they do, they all fit really good. So one of those knobs was pre-flow in seconds. You can choose 0 to 1 second, how long you want the gas to start coming on before the arc comes on. I assume they do the same for post-flow, right? So if you set half a second for pre-flow, it'll come on half a second before and go off half a second after. I don't think there's a knob for post-flow, so I think pre-flow is for both. It says AC output frequency 50 Hertz. I wonder if that's 60 Hertz for us who use 60 Hertz power in, or if it's probably just 50 Hertz coming out, because it rectifies it to DC before it creates the AC again, I believe. So AC output 50 Hertz. We got AC clean width percentage 20 to 80. Not exactly sure what that means. Chime in if you guys know. Leave it in the comments. Slope downtime 0 to 10 seconds. Pulse width 10 to 90. Range of pulse current 20 to 200 amps. Range of pulse frequency 0.5 to 300 hertz. That's pretty cool. That'll be fun to start playing around with. Here you see I'm just I've opened up the machine just to show you the electrical components inside. I'm by no means an expert on electronics. I've been studying up on it and trying to learn a lot, just so I can repair these sort of things or build stuff. I'm interested in all that. Electronics has been one of my hobbies as of late, and been trying to school myself on it. So bottom and top, those things you see against those heat sinks, those are your actual diodes or transistors, the MOSFETs, that do the rapid switching. See some pretty heavy copper soldered on the top there. So basically you have two heat sinks facing each other. The fans blow through there, through the length of the machine. Several different boards. I'd actually like to go through all this and create a wiring diagram, and if I ever get the chance to do that, I'll post that up. Your various control boards, rectifying boards, high frequency start. You can see that Tesla coil in the front there. I'll come around and film that again. You see those yellow little plastic flaps that they put on there to make the air flow through the heat sinks. There is quite a bit of componentry in these machines. It took some electrical engineering to put these together or design them. If something goes wrong in your machine, it could take a little bit to troubleshoot. That's what, that's one of the cons to having an inverter, a small inverter machine is, you just introduced a shit ton of complexity. And when something goes wrong, it's harder to diagnose, and there's more stuff to go wrong. So, pros of inverter, new technology machines, they're light and they pack a punch, and you can do some cool stuff with them. You can do your pulse width modulation and your AC and DC, and the functionality, and there's just so many presets and different things you can do. I'd like to actually try to hook up an Arduino to some of these and add some controllability to it. I think that'd be pretty cool. But looks like the video's just about wrapped up. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.